Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Young here, and today I'm back on a Fortnite video. And in today's video, I'm gonna give you guys some tips and tricks on how to play more aggressive here in Fortnite. I've had a few guys in the comment section ask me how to play more aggressive, and just some tips and tricks along the lines like that. So I'm gonna show you guys exactly how I play really aggressive, while at the exact same time still get a lot of wins and also win the majority of the gunfights I go into. And before we get into the video, up on the screen I have the V-Buck giveaway winner for this week. I really do appreciate all you guys who entered the giveaway, and if you guys want a chance to win some free V-Bucks, I do give out V-Bucks every single week. It's super simple, super easy to enter, and if you guys want to enter my next V-Buck giveaway, all you guys have to do, drop a like on this video, make sure you guys subscribe to my channel, and also subscribe to my second channel. I post a ton of really good content on there, so make sure you guys do subscribe, turn on my post notifications, and as well leave a comment down below of your Xbox gamer tag, your PSN gamer tag, or Epic account. And if you guys would like to support me as a creator in the item shop, all you have to do is go over to the item shop, go into the bottom right hand corner, support a creator, and type in my code. My code is Young Humor. Type it in and you guys will have me support it as a creator. And alright guys, let's get right to the video. Alright, so in this video I have a few gameplay videos for you guys, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how I play aggressive and how I'm able to win so many gunfights while doing so, because I think there really is a good strategy when it comes to playing aggressive while at the exact same time getting a lot of kills and wins, because typically when you play a lot more aggressive you do risk dying a lot more, because the more people you run into the bigger chance you have of losing in the game. But that's really not always the case, because you can always go into gunfights, pick off the other player, and get a ton of shield, ton of materials, which actually ends up helping you a ton when it comes to fighting the other players in the game. So it doesn't really always hold true that every single time you run into a gunfight you do risk the chance of losing in that game, because it really can benefit you if you're able to pick off a lot of players in the game, because typically more times than not you're going to have the best loot later in the game. So that's what I would recommend doing. So I really wanted to talk through in this gameplay, because like I said, I have a few gameplays in this video, and I'm going to talk through each gunfight I go into and really explain my strategy going into each and every gunfight. So in the first gunfight you guys just see me go into, it really wasn't too much of a strategy. It was me just sitting back a little bit, and because the other teams wasn't pushing me, and a lot of times I let them push me first. And if they don't push me first, then I'm going to be the one to make the move. I'm going to rush over to them and then try to make a play. But at this point, I'm really not trying to take a ton of damage, because I know this guy has a combat shotgun. So I was just sitting back and not trying to take as much damage as I possibly can. And that's just one thing to consider. They did bring back the pump shotgun, but the combat shotgun is so much more widely available. Most people in this game are going to be still using it. So going into the next gunfight, as you guys can see, the players that we're going to go fight, they're going to be on top of the very highest hill. So in order to get up there, we're going to stay really close to the mountain, because otherwise, because I already know these guys are going to be looking down trying to shoot at me. And because I ramped up so close to the mountain, they're not able to break any of my structures. I end up getting sniped at from, like, I don't even know how far, good 100, 150 meters. But because when I ramped up, I stayed really close to the edge of the mountain, even if I did get shot at from another team or got shot down, I can easily catch myself on the side of the mountain. And as well, just from that angle, they're not going to be able to get any shots at me unless they jumped down or came off the side of the mountain. So that's another really good way to challenge people who are camping on high ground. It just go along the sides. It could be on a house, it could be on top of a mountain, like right here in this example. So when you're rushing players, it can be a really good idea to go around the side of that structure. So for two reasons, like I said. The first reason being, it's going to be very hard to shoot you out, because even if you get shot at, you can easily just catch yourself on the side of the mountain, because you can connect any structure to anything on that mountain. So that's one of the first reasons. And also the second reason is they have a very tough angle. They're going to have to be looking straight down, so you can easily work your way up. And even if they are able to have a little bit of an angle on you, it's not going to be that much of an angle at all. And on top of that, they're not going to be able to get a lot of shots on you, because it's going to be very easy to block on your way up. And one thing that I do a lot when I'm going against teams is the second I get the first knock on one of the players, I know I immediately have an advantage. And more times than not, the second player on the other team is going to be playing a little bit more aggressive. Either they're going to go for the revive or play even crazy more aggressive than they normally would. And I use that to my advantage. So you don't have to play aggressive all the time. As you can see, I played really aggressive on the first player, got the knock on him, and then immediately boxed in. And it just led for a really easy headshot, for the reason being that guy played overly aggressive because his teammate got knocked and he didn't want his teammate to get thirsted for whatever reason, even though it was going to happen either way. So he came over, I lined up a very easy headshot and picked off the other player. And when you're playing aggressive, the whole point is to try to finish off the players as quick as possible, while also at the same time being able to get high ground quickly as well, because most of the time you're not going to have high ground going into the fight unless you just have really good positioning. And when I was going to the fight with the player that I just killed, one thing that I kept in mind that I knew is I was only going up against one player, so even if I gave up high ground from maybe even 10, I really don't recommend giving up high ground very often, but sometimes it does make sense because it can allow you to kill the other player much quicker. But if I was going into a gunfight against two people, especially in that situation, there's no way that I would even consider giving up any of my high ground, which can be a huge mistake that I see a lot of people do. And as you can see here, when I'm ramping up to the other players, as you can see when I was doing all my builds, it really wasn't that pretty at all. And honestly, it looked really bad. And just the reason being is because I was building really conservatively, which means I was building in a way that was very difficult to get shot out, very difficult to do anything. Is not really flashy. I'm not doing any sort of crazy high ground retakes, because usually those are really easy to shoot out when you're going against a good player. So unless it's in creative and you're building out of steel, and most people don't even shoot you down anyway, it really doesn't make any sense. And it just makes a lot more sense to build, or kind of like a spam build in a way. Build in a way that's very difficult to get shot out, so when you're going for high ground, the other player can't just shoot out one ramp or two and then immediately knock you down. So it just makes it a lot more difficult for the other player to knock you down when you're going for high ground and playing a little bit more aggressive. So that's what I would recommend doing, is sometimes even when you're pushing up, sometimes you might want to consider spam building a little bit. And it's not really spam building, it's building in a way that's very difficult for the other player to shoot you out, so they can't just shoot you out very quickly, and it takes a little bit more structures to be destroyed to completely knock it out. So you are building a little bit excessively, but if you're in the later parts of the game or you have the materials to do so, it can honestly be very beneficial. And especially if you switched over to metal like I did in that case, it was almost nearly impossible for the other player to shoot me out quick enough before I can even go for high ground. So really the key point is when you're playing or going against teams, if you're playing in a squads or playing in a duos match, one of the key things that you guys can do is just trying to get the first elimination on one of the players as quickly as possible. It doesn't mean you have to kill both the players very quickly, is you want to try to get an elimination on one the quickest amount of time possible. And the reason being, once you get one kill on a team or in a squad, a lot of the times, like I mentioned earlier when I was going against the other guy that played very aggressive, a lot of times they play overly aggressive, and it's very easy to go for a kill because a lot of times they don't want their teammates to get thirsted or whatever the case may be. But a lot of people play overly aggressive, and as well they make a lot of bad decisions the second their teammate gets knocked. And even if you are in a 2v1, the second you get a knocked player, a lot of times, like I said, the players that you're going against are going to be messing up and doing a lot of things like that. So it's going to give you a huge advantage either way. Even if it still technically is a 1v1, it's going to give you guys a huge advantage. So playing aggressive and getting the first knock on that player is going to give you a huge advantage in that gunfight, and definitely something you want to take advantage of. And the next gunfight I'm going to be going into, it's a little bit different because it's probably one of the first gunfights that I'm not pushing someone who already has high ground. I'm pushing people on low ground, and I'm pushing them very quickly. And one thing that you guys are going to see me do is every single time that I go for a shot, I'm going to be building upwards. And the reason being is even if I'm playing very aggressive on the people on low ground, I don't want to give up high ground at all. I always want to keep height. So even if I am dropping down a little bit to go for a couple of shots on the other players below, I'm still not completely giving up my high ground. And that's this mistake I see a ton of people make as well, is even if they're low or even if they're playing really aggressive on players, they pretty much give up their high ground every single time, and it ends up making a huge mistake because a lot of people in high ground are just going to be spraying at you. It's just another problem to deal with. So it's just really best that you don't give up your high ground whatsoever. So even if you do drop down to go for a couple shots on the other player, you don't want to give up too much room. You can even give up a little bit of room on height, but you don't want to give up too much, because once they get a couple of stories above you, they're going to have an advantage in the gunfight. And more than likely, if you sit down and play a little bit slower, they're going to eventually drop down. But if you want to play aggressive like how I normally play, you really don't want to give it up whatsoever. So go for a shot, build up a little bit. If they don't build up, then maybe you can drop down and go for another shot. Because the best thing you can do is, a lot of times once you get that first shot on the other player, they're going to immediately try to build up and go for height. So if you already go for the shot and you're already starting to build up after that first shot, no matter what, you're already going to still have high ground. And as you can see when I'm ramping up here, You can just see when I'm ramping up, I'm also going for shots. Unfortunately, my shotgun timer didn't finish off when I was going for that second shot, which I would have clearly hit him. And as you can see, I was still able to go for shots when I was jumping up, and at the exact same time not giving up height at all. Because as you can see, I was able to get off some shots. Unfortunately, my pump shot wasn't, the timer on it wasn't ready. So either way, I still would have been able to get the shot on the other player, while at the exact same time not giving up any sort of height. So that's another skill, and one thing you guys want to master as well is going for shots at the exact same time that you're building up. So it's being able to go for shots while at the exact same time still being able to build up. So you're building up one way, but you can go for a quick flick shot or turn around, go for a shot at the exact same time the other player is building up as well. So that's just something that takes a little bit of time and a little bit of practice to get down, but it's definitely doable, but will require pretty good aim to do so. So always working on your aim is the best thing that I can recommend, because when you're playing aggressive, you're going to have to go for a lot of quick shots time and time again, and if you want to be able to do that, you're going to have to be able to hit your shots. So working on your accuracy is really going to solve a lot of the problems you have when playing very aggressive. And with that being said, that'll wrap it up for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys do drop a like. It really does help me out. And also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And alright guys, I'll see you next video.